stand to my feet now because Queen, do I need to stand up now? And there you go.
All right, we're here.
Hey, good afternoon.
How's it going, Pastor Clay? Superintendent Gilbert L. Clay Sr.
Well, I tell you what, if I had your hand, I'd throw mine in.
Yeah.
I'd throw mine in.
You throw yours in?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I might do a switch. So as long as you give me your hand, I'll give you mine.
Now, you know what? I don't think neither one of them be good. Well, we're here. We're here. Chatting with the Clay. Here we are again.
It's good to be back in the seat again. Like I said last time,
Yeah.
I love chatting with the Clays.
Well, you know, and I brought you back as not a guest, but I brought you back as a frequent flyer. How's that sound?
Okay.
And so, yes, and so it's good. It's good. I enjoyed our last conversation, and it looks like that we can go for something today that I think is good stuff, and
Yeah.
and we're ready. So
Let's see what we come up with.
You that are tuned in with us, and you that may hear this on one of the podcast platforms, it's going to be great. God got great things for us, and I thank God for this time and season. Where are we at today?
Where are we at today?
Yeah, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, first we're in season 6, episode 7, episode 10. I'm sorry.
Episode 10.
Yes.
And did you not say that? How many? March would be our.
Yeah. So we were talking about it this morning. March 21st will be 4 years of us launching the online portion of this ministry.
4 years. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So we've been on there since
Wow.
March 21st, 2020.
Wow.
And, you know, we were fumbling in the dark trying to figure it out, but the Lord
Wow.
showed us the way. So that was
Wow.
good. 4 years of that. And I believe the Sunday after that is the Sunday we started chatting with the Clays, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
All this stuff is documented online, so I can go and
Unbelievable.
confirm that. But
It's
yeah,
mind-boggling to me.
but
It's not-
6 seasons, and I think we're at about 80 something episodes at this point.
Really?
You and First Lady have talked about 80 hours already.
80 hours.
My
Let's
goodness.
see. So you think we can make it to 100 this year?
Well,
Well,
we gotta get in the seats and get it going.
all right. Well,
I gotta whip my talent into shape. If y'all don't know, that's what I call them when I'm getting them back here. We got a time. We got to get in the seats, and then we got a time to start.
All right. Okay. Let's what do we have for our audience today?
So for the topic, we may branch off of this a little bit, but we talked about in our last episode that we did together for the young men in ministry.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about that relationship between that young man that's coming
Mm-hmm.
and his pastor.
Oh wow.
And we went a little bit into your history of when you came into the church and you got saved and your relationship with your pastor.
Wow.
And then kind of seeing some of you, well, you could confirm this, you passing some of those things that you learned along the way. Maybe not that he directly taught you, but you passing on to the young men that you're even pastoring. So maybe just talking about that a little bit. And then I had some other things in mind
good.
that we can kind of, but let's just start there and branch off.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Man, you took me
Yeah.
you took me to a place that is really so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes we use the word powerful, but this was really powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful to where it really changed the landscape of my life.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it really changed the landscape of my life. And it was so unique how God put us together. And nothing was planned, but it was in nothing that I had planned, nothing that my pastor planned, but it was in the plan of God.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know. Matter of fact, I didn't know that even the name of the nightclub that I got saved out of was, and it was called The Turning Point. You know, that wasn't in my plan.
Wow.
You know, but that was that the turning point in my life is when I met Christ, number one, and accepted Jesus Christ. Actually, deep next month, the Lord said the same. It will be 44 years that I've been saved.
Wow.
I got saved in the month of April. I don't recall the day, but it was April.
And it was a Friday night.
And it was on a Friday night in April. Actually, it was it Easter weekend? But anyway, I'll take too much time for that. But
You know, we got the phones now. You can go back in time on the calendars. They'll tell you the day of the weeks and when Easter fell and
yeah,
all
but
that.
back then the phone we had, it was like
No. I'm talking about these ones.
yeah, but it can't tell me back when
You could probably find an estimate date.
close to the date that
Yeah.
was. Yeah, you could. You're right. You're true.
Yeah.
But God put us together, and here is two individuals, different in age, different in background, up to a point. He was from Keachai, Louisiana.
Wow.
Keachai, Louisiana.
Never even heard of it.
You know, and God put us. We met in Colorado. God put us together, and he was a pool shark, and he got saved.
For some of us that may not know what that is, could you explain that?
He made money gambling and in pool halls, shooting pool,
Okay.
and he made money
Okay.
from that. So he was a pool shark, and then I was blackjack, and shooting dice.
Okay.
He got saved on the Friday, and I remember his testimony to me. He said he had all the balls. He was ready to sink the 8-ball,
Mm-hmm.
and all the pockets had money in them. And as he was bent over to sink the 8-ball, the Holy Ghost told him, put the stick down. He said he froze. He was over on top of the pool. He was about to sink it, the 8-ball. And he said he froze when he heard the voice of God.
Wow.
Said, put up the cue stick. He said he heard him twice. And he said he leaned back and raised up slowly. And he said he walked over. He said, and the guys was there. Everybody got quiet. And the guys was there. And he said he put the cue stick back into the rack. And he walked out. And people talking about, his name was Bishop Frank John. That thing they call him Frank. Frank, what you doing? And he said he walked out. And God saved him that night.
Wow.
And I left the Turning Point on a Friday and got saved on a Friday. So
And you told this a little bit. It was you went to your girlfriend's family's church.
yeah. And but now with him, such a wise man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really stuck because this is something about when you grow up with a single parent, having a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
Most African American men, we have a different outlook when the that father head is not in the home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we really don't gravitate to other men, for
I'm gonna
anything.
talk about that a little bit.
Huh?
Yeah, I had something to say about that.
And so anyway, but I saw Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Christ in his life, and that drew me to him. And he was a big man. He was a pastor. He wore a size 15 ring. That's the biggest. Big one.
Wow.
So pastor was he was a big guy, and God put us together. But the thing that he had such an infectious smile, and then his background. He knew, actually his profession was, he was a Buick car salesman.
Wow.
Wow. He sold cars.
Pool shark and sells cars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he knew people. Pastor knew people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a special man, God man, there's a special God woman that God will place a specialty for dealing with people. I guess it really goes back to when, remember Jesus said, following toward the men, one of his disciples yet,
Mm-hmm.
that, when I was walking down,
Make you fishers of men.
yeah, I'm making fishers of men,
Mm-hmm.
And that was
Wow.
he had a niche for that, but it was deeper than that. Pastor saw things in me that I didn't see. There's only two people in my life that was able to break or look past that protection that we had. And it was my wife and my pastor. Before she's my wife, she's my girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
And they saw more in me and I kept it hid.
Yeah.
You protect it. And most black men, we are very protective of ourselves. We really don't share a lot of ourselves.
Are you reading my notes?
No. So this was a God thing today.
I think you hacked in my phone. I think you're a computer whiz here.
Is that right? Oh my goodness. No, it was. You know what? It was. We are not really open enough to people, and sometimes that has caused problems in our marriages also, because we're not really open to people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that it stems from a lot of layers of things, from society, your upbringing, and protective, because my generation was taught men don't cry. Men don't hug each other. True men, you give me a shake my hand. It's a man shake, And we never wasn't not really dealt with the emotional side. And a lot of men are like that. Matter of fact, that's one thing that gangs have one up on us, because, they will sell.
The community, the family.
Yeah, we're a family, and we protect each other and whatnot. That's a great way that they have rallied the people, in these different areas. So, make a long story short, we don't really expose ourselves, and we don't want anybody to know our vulnerabilities, especially women.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a terrible thing, because a lot of single men that came up without a father in life. Not saying all, but they have a relationship with women is different.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there's a lot of traumatic things that come out of that situation. So, Pastor, I believe that God showed him that this is one young man that really need some one-on-one. And God did it to where, man, I followed. Actually, I ended up being his driver, and I really took care of Pastor. But God put us together. And we had a large church, a lot of men, but he knew there was something special.
Yeah.
I didn't know it, but that was that. He was a fisher of men, and I thank God for him spending that time. And like we're talking now, Pastor and I, we had some great conversations. It was so powerful that I didn't even, after like some of the times that we would sit and have, actually there was, I know I stopped it in my sentence. There was nothing that I couldn't ask my pastor.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing I couldn't ask him.
Wow.
And did he always give me an answer? No. But he let me know that I'm yet,
I hear you.
He was Pastor was not a mentor. He was a father figure. I know we're in a time to where, people are asking for mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can go against the grain, I don't think we need mentors. I think we need father figures.
Oh, I agree.
And especially the African American man need a father figure.
There's a distinction.
Yeah.
It's important to make sure that distinction is seen. Yeah, because that mentorship is just more of a guidance.
Yeah.
While a lot of us need that fathering.
Yeah.
We need that care and that love, but also that sometimes that tough love.
That tough love.
Yeah.
A
We need.
man needs that from a real man.
Yeah. Yep.
Now the word comes out real. Well, is there real and fake men?
Yes.
What I want to say is because the male is a male, you know, and you need that man, that God man, you know. And when you look at, and there's no disrespect to anybody, women can only raise the male child up to a certain age.
Yeah.
He needs that man. And Pastor was that God man for me, you know. And I looked up to him, you know. And he had a testimony and such a liberal person. I've never seen as a liberal man like him in my whole life, you know. And I mean, and multi-talented. Oh man, there was nothing that Pastor couldn't do. And this is something that I cherish, because even before I got saved, you know, there was men on my jobs that I had, and I would listen to them like during lunch break and whatnot, telling some of their war stories and stuff, you know. But I learned a lot. You know, I learned a lot. But with him, I was able to be myself, you know, and he didn't criticize me, you know, and I didn't feel like that I was being attacked. I respected him enough. I respected what he said, you know, and he let me know really that he was there to help. And with that, it was like, man. A matter of fact, it was interesting. I was just looking at this picture the other day. A matter of fact, yeah, I was looking at this picture. Might have been a month ago, maybe, and really looking at it, and I said, man, if my pastor was here, you know, the question that I would ask him, especially in my season and that I'm in now, you know, I would love to hear.
Just pick his brain.
Yeah, what he would have to give me. So
yeah. That's good. And you may have saw me smiling a couple times, but what I appreciate is that you can see the esteem, the love, the honor that you have for your pastor when you talk about him.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way that you talk about it, you even seem excited.
Oh, man.
It's like you transport back to when you first met him, that young man who came into the church and begins to learn the ropes under this father figure. Your whole face lights up talking about
What
it.
a man. What a man.
That's awesome. And I think that's something we don't really see as much amongst men. You know, we have this time and this culture where everything is looked to be in the wrong way. Like, men can't just genuinely have a love and respect for one another, and being able to just say, you know what, man, you look good today. You look real good today, without it being some other funny business, you know. Just the world that we're in.
Yeah.
But just being able to honor a man and say, man, I see you. I see what you're doing, and I love it, and I love you, you know, for what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's not something, at least I'll say, that's not something that I saw growing up amongst the men in my family. And I also, like, a lot of the men that like what you were describing, even to this day, a lot of the men in my family aren't willing to be as vulnerable either. You know, they're not willing to open up a whole lot. Like you said, there's a very small group of people. And even with those small groups of people, there's still only some parts of them that they're willing to expose.
Yeah.
So some things are just like, I'm taking this to the grave.
Yeah, right.
Nobody will ever know.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
I think it's important for us as men, and we talked about this a little bit at the Iron Sharpens Iron conference for the C.H. Mason District. We talked about the men just being vulnerable amongst each other and being willing to find that safe space and have those conversations so that you can say, this is where I'm at as a man.
Right.
And being able to connect and relate, but also having somebody that can restore you at that same time. This ain't somebody that's taking your business and ready to gossip about it.
Right.
But they're hearing you out, and they're saying, correcting you where you might be wrong, and then building you up where you may need that. And that's what it sounds like that you got from your pastor. And one thing that I was thinking about too when you were talking about that vulnerability, because of the examples of the men that I had in my family, or the lack thereof, whichever way you want to look at it, I came to Miracle Central guarded. Listen, the guards were up, and I'm saying, number one, I just came with the one track mind. I'm here for the Lord. I got tunnel vision. I don't see the rest of this. But one thing that made me open up, which was probably some years later, a little bit more. Of course, when I first got here, we built a sort of a relationship through the New Saints class and just things like that. And then, of course, I thought you were hilarious. Still do. So, again, you make me laugh. That's great. But making a connection and sustaining that connection is different. Because sustaining a connection means that we still have to peel back those layers.
Yes.
And you have to begin to expose different parts of yourself. Otherwise, the relationship becomes stagnant and eventually fizzles.
Right.
So you said something to me one time, and you said it jokingly. You cracked up laughing when you said, when you first got here, I don't know, you treated me like I wasn't a pastor here. Like you was just some random person in the building, because I wouldn't really talk with you. I wouldn't greet you. You would hug everybody. And you were like, I was pretty much standoffish. Newsflash, guys, I'm pretty shy. I would consider myself a shy guy and also kind of socially awkward in some circumstances. If I don't know you that well, in my mind, I'm thinking, what in the world am I supposed to be talking to you about? I don't know you, So more times than not, I'm just observing people. It's not being me being rude or mean or I don't like you. It's just that I don't know you yet. So I'm observing how you deal with other people, because that tells me a lot about how you might treat me.
Right.
So, and it had nothing to do with you, of course. It had everything to do with where I was at that time. But one thing that stood out to me when I got here was seeing you hugging. You weren't just hugging just any of the members, like just the women congregation or something like that, but you were hugging the men. Especially seeing you in Elder Clay, seeing you two together and seeing y'all interact, y'all hugging on each other, telling each other, building each other up, encouraging one another. That's not something that I saw amongst the men. So coming into this place and having a pastor who is in that way is completely different from me, but I yet admire it, was awesome.
Wow. Wow.
So it has taught me some things. And now there are other interactions and relationships that I've had in my life that also taught me things, like, because in my family, we don't do no hugging. We ain't doing no hugging and I love you. We're just like, I love you because I showed you.
Right.
Listen, I put some food on that table. I put some clothes on your back. That tells you that I love you.
Yeah.
I don't need to sit here and be mushy with you.
Yeah.
Like, we're not a mushy family.
Yeah.
But as I'm getting older and as I am in the Lord, you said something today that was funny.
Wow.
Because that's how I feel. I've become more of a crybaby, more sentimental as I grow a little more in God. Now, as some of my hard, rough edges still there, yeah. Listen, the Lord's sanding still. He's still standing.
He's standing. Right. Hallelujah.
He's sanding.
Yes, you got a lot of sand people. Trust me.
Got a lot of wood dust.
Yeah, a lot of dust.
Yeah, a lot of dust. But as I'm getting older, I'm realizing the importance of building those relationships and those connections, especially in the church. It has been a big thing, and especially with you as my pastor. Because one thing that I found out recently, which not that recent, but I didn't realize how controversial it is to love, honor, and esteem your leader is.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying out in the world. Out in the world is definitely controversial, but amongst believers, in a lot of different settings and a lot of different churches, we just see our pastor as just another man. He's just another man. He bleed like you cut him. He bleed like I bleed. And sure, all of those things are true, but there are some distinctions. And I think we should honor those distinctions.
And what I bring out often is, and I think that no one had to teach me this, but genuine love
Mm-hmm.
receives
Oh
genuine
yeah,
love.
that's good.
You know, when it's genuine, you know when it's genuine.
You know it.
You don't need a textbook for it.
You ain't got to ask about it.
You know it is. And sometimes it's like, man, there's somebody that's really like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And then people don't want to hear it, but I'll keep saying it because it's biblical scripture. And I have received the revelation about it. In Ephesians chapter 4, the latter part of it started with like 9, 10, and 11. Well, yeah, 11, 10, 11, and 12.
Mm-hmm.
Christ led captivity gifts unto men. Christ gave gifts unto men.
Yeah.
One of the gifts was pastors. The pastor is a gift to the church.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
if you mistreat God's gift,
Yeah.
you mistreat God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what we look at is those that have been notorious in not feeding the people, scattering the people.
Yep.
and this
I was
goes
going to
on.
get into that a little bit too.
You know,
Yeah.
Jeremiah chapter 23. But God said, don't worry about that. I'm going to visit upon them pastors.
Yeah.
So a pastor is a gift.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is, and this is something that when I got saved, that, man, listen, I was called flunky and everything else, pastor's pet and stuff.
Lord help us.
And I'm saying, because I love this guy
Yeah. Yeah.
and I want the best for this guy. And as hard as he works,
And these were church folk.
yes, not church folk, not saints,
Yeah.
church folk.
Yeah. When you taught about this on Sunday or on Friday.
Yeah, you know, and so here is a man that you can see him in a three-piece suit, and he always wore suits everywhere, fixing the toilet. On the roof in Colorado, we had swamp coolers. You know, instead of air conditioning, we had swamp coolers, water cooled, and mist come down. And he's working. Pastor worked hard, and Pastor wanted the best for the saints. Pastor be so wore out. That's why I started driving him. You know, at some of his places he needed to go. Pastor would get into the car, and I start driving, and we wouldn't even be in the car 8 minutes, and he'd be gone. He'd fall asleep, wore out. And I'm saying, out of excuse me, all of these men, all of these elders and ministers and brethren and deacon, and y'all can see that y'all wearing our pastor out.
Yeah.
I said, no. I took it personal. I said, oh, not on my watch.
Yeah.
And so I really did that. And because you love a man and want the best for him, you were just pushed out. Matter of fact, listen, it got so bad to where when the deacons or the men would have meetings and stuff like that, we'd always get together on weekends and have cookouts, fish fries, whatever else like that, you know what I mean? They didn't invite me.
Oh no.
Yeah, they could say, well, no, because, man, we may do something that Pastor don't like, and he going to go back and tell on us. Yeah, stuff like that. But that didn't deter me. Because God spoke and said, serve him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Serve him. And I didn't know that the mantle would fall on me. You know, and I didn't know that I'd be in a place where I'm at today if it had not been for that God man. And me being willing to really step up and get ridiculed for wanting to help this man. In helping him, it blessed the church. Because when Pastor was helped and things that he didn't have to do or supported him, then he gave that energy back to the church. It was a no-brainer. So anyway, and I did not let stuff bother me. And you said something that was powerful. Any male or female that really loves their leader and wants the best for their leader, people don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting. I didn't think that it would be so controversial. What I do appreciate though is, and this is not just here in our local church, but across the denomination of the Church of God in Christ, that is something that is demonstrated. I won't even necessarily say that they're necessarily having to teach it, which they're doing that too, but it's demonstrated from the top down. You'll even see the bishop serving the pastors even. It's not about, oh, we're just serving this one that's at the top here, because there is a hierarchy there within our church even. But that's something that I noticed when I got here, just seeing how the people served you and First Lady and how they honored you. And again, it goes back to that teaching. But like I said, I didn't know that was such a controversial thing, that people, like you said, will shun you, talk crazy about you. Like, why are you doing all of that? And, but what I've learned in my time of course, studying the word and being taught here is because more times than not, we make it about the man, the flesh, what you can see. But one thing that you told me some time ago was, we always honor the office.
Yes.
Even if I may not agree with the person holding the office. And when I say the office, meaning holding that title.
Yes.
Because like you said, this is a gift.
Yes.
And I even take that from just the church, but I'm even thinking about the areas of my life outside of the church. I'm saying I may not always agree with my manager at my job, but I honor him as my manager.
Yeah.
The president may never agree with my president, the current, past, future, whatever, but I honor them as the president.
Right.
You know, even as, not to get into it too deep, but even as, Trump was in office, many people had issues with him.
Yeah.
But we, as people and citizens of America, our position is to honor the president because he is the leader.
The president of the United States,
whether you voted for him or not.
Right. And
you honor.
And that's what, yes. And you said, and I'm a stickler. I get on my soapbox. You can disagree with the person, but when God gives an office, honor what God has given.
Yeah.
And these are the things, because again, you can agree to disagree. And when you try to understand, understanding helps you to process things. Now, even as pastor, it's a no-brainer. Pastors make wrong decisions.
Yeah. You're going where I'm going.
And whatnot. And so then how do you deal with a pastor when he has made a wrong decision? He has to suffer that. And the Lord will correct that. There's a book that is very powerful. And let me see. I'm trying to think of the author of the book is can't think, but it's called The Courageous Follower. And I'm trying to think who the author is. But anyway, it's a very good book. And to summarize it up is it tells you how to deal with leadership, and as a follower, it shows you how that you can disagree with your leader, but how to do it.
Yeah.
Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, disagreed with the administration that Moses had set forth to the people. Jethro disagreed with it. And in his statement to Moses, he makes a statement, first of all, he says, Moses, you're killing yourself. What you're doing is not good for you. It's not good for the people. Now, Moses could have took that thing any kind of way. Well, who you think you are? Because I married your daughter. I'm the one that God has put. No. And he gave a suggestion. And this is what I say. When there is a problem with leadership, bring your problem forward. And if you want to spend 3 hours with the problem, give me 3 hours for a solution. Make it even. If you're going to complain about it, okay, let's hear your complaint.
Yeah.
Now, when you get done with your complaint, don't stop there. Now, give a solution.
Yeah.
See, people will try to complain with the leader, but they don't have a solution.
Yeah.
And when you complain, then you look at it or you look at it in the space of, and it could be a supervisor on the job, it could be anybody. When people start complaining, okay, I hear your complaint. Now, since you're so forceful with your complaint, Where is the solution at?
Where's the solution?
See, at leaders leaders will have all kinds of things thrown at them. Pastors will have all kinds of things thrown at them.
Mm-hmm.
But watch this one. Now they got books, they got social media so big on church hurts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh man, talk about church hurts. You know, I've experienced church hurts before and stuff, but nobody ever has talked about when a pastor hurts. I keep saying I'm gonna bring that up. One day, if the Lord said the same, I'm gonna bring it.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when a pastor hurts?
Yeah.
Who helps the pastor out?
Yeah.
You know, now you're talking about church hurt, and look at the thing, because remember, what if it rises, things can rise or fall. It's always on the leader, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
If it goes up, leader. If it goes bad, it's leader.
Yeah.
You know, so we really don't understand. And then somebody say, "Well, the pastor's just like me." Yeah, you know what? You're right. But there's a higher anointing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, just like you're a secular job, your boss is human like you are, but he's just your boss.
But it's your
You
boss.
don't hold the office that your boss holds.
Yeah. That's good to make it plain like that.
You know,
Yeah.
so you're not going to go and tell the boss. You're not going to boss your boss.
Okay, well, what if we got some people that's unemployed? They never had a job before. That don't make sense to them.
Well, them are the
You got a
ones.
mama, you got a daddy, though.
Yeah.
You know, so like as you were talking, I'm thinking about even with my own parents. As a kid growing up, you get your period where you think you know everything. There were times I didn't agree with my parents even, but I always knew this is my mom, this is my dad.
Yes.
There's only so far I'm going with trying to make my point,
Yeah.
because there's going to be some consequences if not,
Sure.
So just looping it with, you brought up Jeremiah 23, and I was looking at that a little bit earlier. I think it's important to refer back to that, because one thing I was thinking is, I'm saying, because more times than not, we think there's something that we need to do when we see a small number of those pastors that have caused some of this
Yeah.
issue between the people and the pastor, and the problem that we're having with people being respecting and honoring the pastor being a controversial thing has stemmed from a small group
Right.
that has been pretty loud
Right.
with whatever they did.
Right.
And so I, like you said, understanding helps you to process. Don't mean I agree. So I understand some of those feelings. But in that Jeremiah 23, God talks about, number one, it starts off with woe.
Right.
And one thing we learned here is that woe is usually said and destruction is following sometime after that.
Correct.
So the Lord is saying, look, something's going to happen
Yeah,
to you.
right.
So he says, woe to the pastors. And then it goes on, I believe it's like the third or fourth verse. God also says, I'm going to deal with them.
Right.
The ones of you that have scattered my people,
Right.
that didn't feed my people, you did crazy stuff before them, you talked crazy to them, you did something to them. Nowhere in that chapter, though, do I see the Lord said, and the people had to respond and retaliate to you because of what you did to them.
Right.
Well, the Lord says, no, I'm going to respond and retaliate.
Right.
You scattered my people, and I let them go where you scattered them.
Right.
But I'm going to take care of you for what you did. And then I'm going to bring my people back
Right.
and put them under the leadership that they need to be under.
Correct.
But what happens is, as people, we think that we need to take matters in our own hands.
Sure.
And no, that pastor said something crazy to me, so I'm saying something crazy back.
Yeah.
You know what? He didn't teach me how I wanted to be taught. So I left and then badmouthed him when I went somewhere else and said, he's a terrible teacher. And he did this and he did that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's really, it's kind of bittersweet. Case in point, and I'll use this scenario here. When I met you, I'm just using this as a scenario.
it's okay. You're all right.
When I met you, you weighed 80 pounds, but then when you got mad at me, you weighed 320. So the question is,
That's an interesting analogy.
how did you gain all that weight?
Wow.
is from what you was fed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh,
when
that's good.
when you was small and didn't have anything,
Mm-hmm.
but now you are mad and upset now.
Came to you.
But all that weight you have,
Mm-hmm.
this is where you got it from.
Yeah. Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And that's kind of where we are.
Yeah.
And because and the pastor has to take that.
Yeah.
The pastor has to say, okay, I've sold it. I did what God told me to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't good enough. Now that's when you know that when the enemy's involved.
Yeah.
But nobody ever wants to talk about the enemy,
Yeah.
you know. And so when my pastor, um, churches flourish, and then they kind of they'll wean out.
Yep.
And, you get
Level off and things.
you get droughts, and you get people. It's like a revolving door.
Yeah.
Then you have a base group that is there,
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at the man God or woman of God, again for my pastor, I saw him even some of the lean times. It's like, what's wrong with the people?
Yeah.
Pastor ain't did nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
He was good for the first 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
But the next 6 months, he's good and terrible. That's how fickle we are.
Yeah.
But when you have really a God man
Mm-hmm.
and a black man knows, you really know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of churches that are blessing men because they see the leadership,
Yeah.
and there's a respectability that a black man has for another black man. And we don't talk about that.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Black men know how to honor another black man. When you get black men that's on the same accord and they respect each other, they'll literally go to bat for each other.
Yeah.
You can't beat oh my goodness. You can't beat a relationship from a man to a man that God is a center of.
Yeah.
You can't beat that
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
And the enemy does not, that's what he don't want to come together, because we know how to support one another and we will fight for each other.
Yeah.
What we have and a lot of times is when there is, when the person is not really balanced enough, because in men you make tough choices. You make leadership choices and you make choices. And sometimes if there's an outside voice that is in your ear,
Mm-hmm.
that you're trying to respect this voice, but you know what you're doing is right, then that's when you start, the feuding process comes in, and that's when St. John chapter 10:10, the thief cometh not but for to kill,
Mm-hmm.
steal, and destroy. My pastor and I had a great relationship because the first thing I saw in him was the God man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I didn't know anything else about him,
Yeah.
I knew he was saved. And that's the thing, that sets us aside from any conflict.
Yeah.
When you know your leader is saved,
You no longer have to really question the motive.
you don't have to question. What is there to question?
Yeah.
There's nothing to question.
Yeah. Yep.
Because when he's saved and knowing that, and how saved is he? He's saved enough to know that if he does anything contrary, God is going to hold him in contempt, and he fears God.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, and even for me, I can stand, and I love my pastor so much to where even with politics and stuff like that, and I can't stand it, but politics are in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes leaders are envious of other leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and my pastor, he didn't fight for anything. He didn't, I can hear him now. You know what? His favorite word for me was, "Bro, Clay, just do what's right." That's what he was saying. Brother Clay, just do what's right.
Yeah.
And that sticks with me.
If we would just stick with just do what's right, those 3 words.
Just do what's right.
Or 4, sorry. I left out the just.
Well, okay.
Do what's right is all I was focusing.
That's fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just do what's right. When you just do what's right. I think First Lady Clay, she is so adamant in saying this. She says, just live saved.
Yeah. Yeah. And she loves saying this too, because she's mentioned this before. Another issue that we have is we want our pastor to live saved. Listen, I know you say pastor,
Yeah.
but I ain't got to.
No.
But when I need you to be saved, and I need you to be saved enough to pray for me.
That's right.
Even if I wronged you.
That's right.
You know.
And you know how powerful that is? In other words, Pastor, I'm gonna cuss you out. I'm gonna knock you out. But now don't hit me. Don't cuss me back, because you the pastor. You supposed to take it.
See, that's when they know the distinction.
Yeah.
That's the only time they know the distinction. There's a difference.
Yeah.
And you can tell that people even say that there isn't a difference. They will tell you there's a difference by how they respond to some of those things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Even the world. We talked about this before, even with how the world responds to the church. Those that say ain't nothing to that.
Right.
That's why I don't go to church now.
Right.
But when something happens, the world begins to look to the church.
Sure.
And they're saying, man, the church got to get involved somehow.
You got your pulse.
Yeah.
You got your finger or your thumb on the pulse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're looking to the church because what's the church going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do now? So,
And when they talk about the church, they're talking about the leadership.
yes.
They're talking about the pastors.
Yes. So even during the pandemic, now we have the National Day of Prayer, but I know that was a big thing that President Trump at the time got up and said, as a country, we need to participate in this. I think I remember him doing something like that.
Oh, when he said 2 Corinthians?
No. He was president by then. No, he was president by now. But if I'm not mistaken, I remember him talking about the National Day of Prayer. I believe it's in 2021 but anyway, but I remember that being a big push from the White House at the time. And I'm saying again, so we're leaning on the church once again, this church that is disregarded in any other circumstance.
Yeah.
But when it comes time to, it's like, no, we in the world of trouble, and we need somebody to intervene.
And they talk about, listen, I've said it so many times. People are so loose with conversations about the servants of God. And you got to be very careful. Never put your mouth on the man or woman of God. Now, that's for the church. That ain't for the world. Because the world's the world's going to be cut off too. Fret not thyself because of evildoers. Don't be even envious of the workers of iniquity, for they soon will be cut off. And there's a scripture.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish your thought.
There's a scripture in, where am I at? I think I want to say, Psalms 55:1.
I'll pull
Get
it
your
up.
Bible and see what that says. Psalms 55:1.
Sorry.
You fine.
This will be the time my phone want to give me pop-ups. All right. So Psalm 55:1.
Yeah.
Give ear to my prayer, O God, and hide not thyself from my supplication.
Go on.
Attend unto me and hear me. I mourn in my complaint and make a noise because of the voice of the enemy,
Yes.
because of the oppression of the wicked. For they cast iniquity upon me, and in wrath they hate me. My heart is sore pain within me, and the terrors of death are fallen upon me.
Yeah.
Fearfulness and trembling are come upon me, and horror hath overwhelmed me.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, that I had wings like a dove, for then would I fly away and be at rest. Lo, then would I wander far off and remain in the wilderness. Selah.
Now, there's a scripture, and I got to bring it out. But he says that I knew that the world didn't like me.
Oh, I know. I think I know.
And I knew that associates didn't like me. But my hurt, because if it was the world or associate, I know how to deal with them. But my hurt came from within. the one closest to me, the one that I went to church with,
Mm-hmm.
the one that I stayed up late at night with, the one that I fasted and prayed for, the one that I took substance out of my own mouth and gave to, that's the one that hurts. That's the one that hurt me. And it talks about the hurt from the inside.
Yeah, that's that same chapter. 55 is in 17.
Yeah. And go ahead and jump on that one.
Evening. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, I just had it. How did I mess that up? 1 second. Psalm 55.
It says 17.
Oh, sorry. It was at 12.
Psalms 55 and 12.
For it was not an enemy that reproached me.
It was not an enemy that wronged me.
Then I could have borne it.
Yeah. I could have handled that. If it was an enemy, I can handle the enemy.
Yeah.
You know, keep your enemies close to you. I can handle that. Read.
Neither was it he that hated me.
And the ones that just don't like me because they don't know me, they just heard something about me, took somebody else's opinion, and don't like me, I can deal with them. Mm-hmm.
Neither was it he that hated me that did magnify himself against me. You just talking about that. You gained some weight. You went from 80 to 300.
Yeah. And this is where you got the weight from.
Yes.
But now there's something wrong with me. Read.
Then I would have hid myself from him.
In other words, I would have just listen. I would have got my car, went away, went on vacation.
Because I know to avoid you.
Yeah, we don't even live on the same block. I can deal with them folk. Read.
Yeah. But it was thou, a man mine equal.
You was my equal.
My guide.
You was you was my. It says guide, but you my guy. You my friend.
And my acquaintance, he says.
And yes, you was close. Read.
My guide and mine acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together.
Man, we had some good time, man. We kicked it, you know, we laughed about it, we shared a lot of things. It was but it was sweet.
Yeah. Another translation says, but it is you, a man who is my peer, my companion and good friend.
And you were my good friend. You're the one that stabbed me in the back.
Yeah.
Now that's the one that hurts. And pastors are like that. It's the ones that are close to them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why in leadership and even with my pastor, I made sure, you know, that matter of fact, really, and I think about it, I protected my pastor. Listen, if we was in the place, and you start was talking crazy about my not in front of me, you didn't.
Yeah.
Like I knew what I was doing. You know, here's a God man. Y'all don't see a God man or God woman. You know, but Jesus said, listen here. Jesus, I came to my own, and my own folk didn't receive me. And a prophet doesn't get honor. Everybody else will honor him, but he does not get honor in his own home. You know. So this is man. I was protector of my pastor. Yeah. And I don't get with some people that, you know, you hear stories of people saying, you know, that they went to a restaurant and what was on the menu was their pastor.
Lord help us.
What are you going to order today? I'm going to order Pastor Clay. Yeah, and give me some,
chew him up and spit him out.
And give me some gravy. You know, I like gravy with everything. Give me some Pastor Clay with some gravy, dark gravy. You know. Amen. You know, so it's like, man, what kind of stuff is this? What kind of stuff is this?
We just can't find no good help around here.
Just can't get no good help.
There's somebody acting crazy behind the camera, bro.
You know.
In case, just so nobody thinks that we're talking about what you were just saying.
Right.
Just so that they understand what I'm saying.
Good.
Yeah, but I thought that was really good. I wanted to bring that out. But aside from, you know, because you touched on this a little bit and you saying you saw a need that your pastor had.
Yes.
And you said, you know what, I'm going to fill in that gap.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I see my pastor's tired.
Yes. Because
many a times we think about when we just hear saying, honor your leaders. I think that's 1 Thessalonians. Let's read that really quick. 1 Thessalonians 5, and I believe it's 12. And it says... And I actually want to read the NLT, if that's okay.
Go ahead. I was trying to see mine.
It says, "Dear brothers and sisters, honor those who are your leaders in the Lord's work.
Yeah.
They work hard among you and give you spiritual guidance." 13 says, "Show them great respect and wholehearted love because of their work, and live peacefully with each other."
Yeah.
What I with that filling in the gap and us respecting, esteeming, loving those leaders and honoring them, the way to do that, aside from, sure, I can say, "Pastor, listen, I love this suit. This is a nice suit.
Well, thank you.
If you could give it to me, I'm gonna take it, get it so tailored so it looks like they painted it on me, like some of these guys wear, you know."
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
No, but I can give you those compliments. I can say, "Woo, Pastor, that was a good message today," but I can't tell you what it was. But man, it was good. I know how it made me feel while it was. Listen, there's a saying that does say this. So, Pastor, please remember this if we forget your title. People will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Okay. Yeah. But then, okay.
Do not let this derail.
Oh,
I know I'm derailing it because I know you got a response.
All right, go ahead. I'm with you. We gonna stay.
Let's stay focused. Stay focused.
We gonna stay focused.
But my point is, we can do the compliments, we can do the pleasantries, but like you mentioned, I think the greatest way that we can honor our leaders is what we saw demonstrated even with Moses, where the people held his arms up.
Yeah.
In a way that we can do that now. And the scripture says, as they held his arms up, they prevailed, and when they let his arms down, they began to lose. With that, we can do that by seeing that need and filling in the gap. Now, some of us may not be gifted in spotting a need. That may not be their thing, and that's okay. But I think at the very least, we can make sure to build some sort of relationship with you that at least you can find us close enough that you can tell us, "Man, I need this done." Or asking somebody else, or just asking.
And you hit a good point. I was around my pastor. Matter of fact, I lived with him for a while, and I knew him, so I could see.
Yeah,
You know,
you always say this: knowing my pulse, know your leader's pulse.
There you go. That way, you don't have to ask.
Yeah.
Once you've been around, and
Yep.
the most beautiful thing is strength is in observation. Also,
Yeah.
if you don't know what to do, learn not what to do, and then observe.
Yeah.
So if you see structure, pastors are structured, and they have certain things that
You learn you learn the quirks of your leader too. You learn the things that might tick them off, those things that may make them happy. One thing I was thinking about as you were saying that, in learning you and First Lady as my leaders, one thing I know is y'all like a clean environment. So the moment I step in this building, I'll give you an example, a live and in color example. This morning I got here, and we got the rubber roof. Some of that rubber's blowing off. And it's getting all over the sidewalk. I got here, it was a bunch on the sidewalk this morning. I'm saying, if I don't do this, because I can't count on the others behind me. I'm not saying they won't, but I can't count on them to do anything because they're thinking, listen, that's Deacon's job or somebody else's job.
Yeah.
Some people think like that. But what I do know is if my pastor happens to get here before the rest of the people get here, or he gets here before I get here, he's cleaning this up. So knowing my pastor enough, I'm saying if I'm getting here before him, I'm going to make sure that when he gets here, that the things that would tick him off or the things that might have him like, man, I got to get the broom out and get the mop because this looks so crazy. I'm going to do my best to make sure that I prepare this place that when he gets here, he can just focus on what he's supposed to do. And that was my point. Part of that honoring our leaders is, again, like I said, learning them so that you can know, okay, I know what they would need. But seeing the need and meeting the need. But another problem that we have is that many people, we have the ideas, but we're not willing to put forth the effort to get the job done. Like you said, we can point out the problems, but are you willing to be a part of that solution?
And why would you pray for something that God's already given you how to do it?
Yeah.
Put legs on your prayer.
Yeah.
And there's a word called selfishness. When you can get out of yourself and think about somebody else, that's what Jesus was all about. And he says, he showed them how to serve each other
Yes.
through communion,
Mm-hmm.
through
Feet
feet
washing.
washing.
Yeah.
He showed us how to treat each other.
Yeah.
You know, washing each other's feet, humility and humbleness. And Jesus said, listen, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it for years. I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do. Matter of fact, I really want to do it myself, you know. But some things they have to be taught. You give instructions behind, you know, and understand the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny where I don't know. I think one day you said, you asked
Oh
me
boy.
something. I don't remember exactly what it was, so I'll just keep it in the ballpark.
Mm-hmm. That's all right.
And I said, you asked me about something, and I told you about it. And then you said, Pastor, you started laughing. You said, Pastor, wow. Everything's a teaching moment.
Mm-hmm.
He
Always.
said, Pastor, do you ever stop teaching? He said, now
Always.
it's good, but I'm saying like, wow.
Newsflash, another newsflash. That will be one of the add-ons for gaining that relationship with your leader. Which for somebody that might be a problem. For me, it's not. You know, I'm always, again, I try and consider myself a reflective person. So I'm ready for whatever comes my way. Now, I may not like it. I'm not saying I always like it, but those teaching moments, I'm always grabbing a nugget from of saying, okay, there's something I could be doing better here. Or there's something I can learn from this.
My pastor was pouring into
That's
me
good.
so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to say, man, pastor's so hard on me. I don't know why he was so hard on me. But he knew he was putting things into me
Mm-hmm.
that I was going to need later on in life.
Yeah.
He was wise enough
Yeah.
to see that. And if it had not been for that tough love, some things that I would have snapped out on, you know, and allowed the enemy to take me out of who I really am.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes we allow the enemy to take us out of who we are because we wasn't taken in and pulling in the teaching, being like a sponge and gathering information up because we reject it. Knowledge is the knowing of something, knowledge. But you need the wisdom. Wisdom is the intimacy of knowledge. You have to have wisdom to work knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that I've learned that I know of, but now that you know it, put the wisdom behind it.
Like you said, put some legs on it.
Yeah. And know that your leaders need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and if because I need help, just don't use the help haphazardly.
Mm-hmm.
You know I need help. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Case in point. Buff the floors once a week. Buff the floors. I'm gonna buff the floors for pastor. You got the wrong pad. You turned it up too high. You done scorch the floor. You done burn the floor. And you said,
this is oddly specific, but go ahead.
yeah. And it's like, wow, pastor, look what I did.
Lord help us.
You did this? Yeah, I'm helping you out.
So when you trying to be a help, actually be a help. That's some advice. Actually be a help. Don't make it that the pastor your leader got to come behind you.
There you go. And then if you don't know how to do something, I would do it if you teach me now.
Yeah.
The next time.
And I think another way you said something that made me think of this is another way that we can honor our leaders is being willing to say, I'm not capable of doing that. Because another thing that we do is that we will let our leaders down by taking on assignments that we cannot handle.
And you can't handle it.
And sometimes we'll even volunteer.
Good point.
Pastor didn't even ask me. First lady didn't ask me. I came and volunteered. And then now they're looking around and they're saying, okay, well, I gave this to you and you didn't do it the way you didn't do it at all. I'm not even gonna say you didn't do it the way you should have, but you just completely dropped the ball.
Yeah.
That's a disservice to our leaders.
Yes. And good point. The point is, I know you want to help, Admit you can't do it, but admit that you want to learn.
I want to learn. Show me how you do this so I can make sure that in the absence of you, I can take care of this. And that's something that since I've gotten here, is something I know you talked about, that you've been teaching us and pouring into us. And I believe that times when y'all are away, now you don't know this because you aren't here, but when y'all have been away, that y'all have taught us well enough that when you aren't here, we're able to carry on. We're able to turn on the lights, we're able to turn on that camera and do a little jig in front of it for about an hour. We do something.
Can I bring a point up? It's so funny.
Go ahead.
You remember this? Well, I guess this is March. Maybe one gets snowstorm left in March, but we'll see. We purchased that electric snowblower.
Oh boy!
With the dual batteries.
Does this have something to do with me?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, help me.
It was funny. Remember, you was trying to
plow through the snow.
Was that about? Would you say that would be like a 4 foot or 5 foot drift? Remember that last big?
Yeah, because we had a lot of snow. It was pretty high.
Elder Clay had the gas one.
Yeah.
And that was top, but the electric one. And
it was probably about 3-4 feet.
Yeah, and I said, well, if it's electric, so if you get something like that, it's going to, use
kill the battery.
So then, you was trying to start it up, and it wouldn't start
because it was dead.
The battery, but you kept trying to start it up, and I said to myself, I'm watching. I said, does D know that maybe?
I think you called me because you.
I did.
You had saw me struggling.
I did.
And called me.
I did. And you were so sincere because you want to get the job done.
Because I want to get the job done.
Yeah.
But again, and that's usually what I'm thinking about when I take on something that you give me. And I say this all the time. And I'm eating my own what I'm saying. Whenever you bring something to me, I'm always, number one, I try my best to do it.
You do.
But at some point, I got to tell you, Pastor, I can't do that. Right. This number one, it seems like it's going to be an undertaking. And I try not to bring anything to you unless I know for sure I can do it. Like when we came up with the newsletter idea.
Yeah.
And the first thing you asked me is this going to add more work to what you're already doing? Because if it's adding more work, it's not a good idea.
Right.
Because you're spread thin already. You're doing a bunch of different things already, right. Which I appreciate you for doing that. But I was like, I know what God gave me, and I think this is going to be good for the people. It'll be beneficial and be an added layer to it. So,
And for you that don't know what the MC Weekly is, that's our local newsletter.
Yeah.
We have a local newsletter that covers.
Use it for announcements and some other things, just some ways to engage the congregation.
Actually, we're over 100.
Yeah, over 100.
We're 100.
I think it's like 108.
Yeah,
like that,
over 108 newsletters.
Issues is what we would call it. Yeah. But yeah, so ensuring that we are clear on what we know how to do, what we don't know how to do. And I'm always, like I was saying, I'm always trying to preference with what I'm currently doing is what I know how to do best. Mm-hmm. Stuff with technology, I can figure that out without any thought about it. But if you get to have me trying to branch off somewhere else, I'm saying, I'll do it. I'm just not sure I'll do it well. And you probably gonna have to come behind me.
Yeah.
Cause I'm saying, you want me to count offering?
Yeah.
I'm not good with math. I'm saying we got $200 offering. It was 50. Wouldn't that be crazy? So I'm saying stuff like that. You just know, I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. And so that's another, not saying I'm giving advice, but that's something as people who you love your leader, you want to serve your leader. The way that you can serve them is taking what you know you do best. What do you do out in the world? Yeah. What do you do in the secular place? What do you do in your free time that you just love? And you let your leader know, listen, I love painting.
Yeah.
I love writing. I love to draw, whatever that is, because there's something in that can be beneficial and be an addition and a load off your leader.
And good point. And to add on to that, then
we gotta wrap it up.
Then be willing to learn.
Yeah, and be willing to learn. Yes.
This is what's been so interesting to me, and it's the relationship between pastor and brother, pastor, deacons, is the electronic world. I said, Deacon, you're a good teacher,
Uh-oh.
but slow down.
Well, I talk
And
fast.
then remember that you're talking to seniors, older people. And I said, you're good at what you're doing, but if you just slow down
Mm-hmm.
and remember that how fast that you are a walking processor. You can process things so quick, but a lot of people don't have that type of processor built into them. So if you just slow it down with the same information, then they'll be able to get it.
Yeah.
I've learned so much, from that, and I've been taken to areas that I thought I would never. Matter of fact, I pushed it back against it.
Mm-hmm. But I believe it's been an addition. It's taking a
Yeah,
load off of you in a way.
but I was willing to
Oh
learn.
yes, you were willing to learn. For sure.
Even as a pastor, a pastor grows by those that are around him. If folk are around him are keeping on cutting edge information and doing cutting edge things, it enhances the leader.
Yeah.
So the leader don't have to do everything. He gets people around him that knows how to do it, and then he's tapping in and learning.
Yeah.
And then he can go and do what he's supposed to do and push the ministry further ahead.
Yeah.
It all collectively works together.
Yeah.
And so there's respect and there's learning a leader, and really one of the best holistically for that we've done. Deke, it's good. It was great.
I'm hoping that we can in some way summarize what we just talked about.
I don't have a clue.
Because we started talking about the relationship between the pastor
Yeah.
and we said the young man, but I would say just the people in general.
Yeah.
And then we also talked about in that relationship, it takes some respect, it takes some esteeming and some honoring of your leader. Now, I'm not saying that that's a one-way street, because like you just did, we just had a conversation. And you're willing to also, I'm also respecting those that are following me as well, and I'm honoring in the ways that they need to be honored, if that makes any sense. But I think in all of that, we kind of touched a little bit too on why that's important. Because like you said, the leader needs the help. And also because there is a distinction between you and your leader of why you should build that relationship with them, as well as why you should honor and respect them.
Yeah.
So with all of that, we are a little bit over on our time.
Okay.
But I enjoyed talking with you. I enjoyed hearing you talk about your pastor and see you light up again.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's really good having you as my pastor. It's really good learning more about you, growing in that relationship with you, and of course seeing that God man, but learning who Gilbert Clay is.
Wow.
That's also another thing, which it's still you, but it's an extension of you, which is really good and really awesome. And based on what you've said about your pastor so far, I can see so much of what he passed on, you passing on to Miracle Central. Those of you that are watching, you might not be a member here, but I pray that you will find some time to honor your leader in these, from here on out. If you haven't been, I encourage you to do so in whatever way that the Lord will give you to do. Please don't let what the world says have you talking crazy, gossiping, and all that silliness about pastors in general, not just your pastor, but pastors in general. But we need to get back to the place where we honor and respect the leadership that God has given us, and the gifts that God has given us. And we're not saying that in some arrogant, like you need to be bowed down to way,
No.
but we're just saying these are who God has given us. And because of that, we honor the God in them, so, God bless you that are watching. Those of you that will listen later. It is Chatting with the Clays.
Yeah.
We so miss our first lady. She's got some big breaking news that's coming up. Don't spill it, Pastor. She's got some big breaking news that's coming up. The way I'm saying it, I'm sure when she watches it, she's gonna say, "I don't know what this breaking news
if
is."
you keep talking about it, then she's gonna figure it out.
But she's got some news to tell us. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be funny.
Oh boy.
Pastor's got an assignment coming up. It's gonna be good. I'm really excited for our first lady to come back. But this is episode 10 of season 6 of Chatting with the Clays.
Season 6, episode 10.
And we are signing off.
All right. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much. The Lord bless you.
Chatting with the Clays.
No.
My brothers and sisters, I pray that this was a blessing unto you. First Lady Clay, would you like to say anything?
Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell. Leave a comment. God bless.